New York City's. Last night we got to view greatness. So it only makes sense that we talk about greatness. Me and Sam, the front office pod, let's do it. Deja vu. So, I want to say sorry to everyone last night and our hype and our youthful exuberance to want to basically shout to the world about the greatness that is the Brooklyn Nets. Sam and I had a little bit of a technical difficulty on our pod last night. One that I'm 98% sure that we've got fixed. Sam, how much do you hate me for having to do this again?
No, I can never. I can never.
Dude, I almost feel better equipped now having listened to everybody else. I'm mad that the spontaneity and the joy that we had last night. I mean, it was palpable. Even my wife, who was like kind of like 2 rooms over, was saying you weren't this excited on our wedding night, and I had a lot of things on my mind that night. But so I'm not sure if she's wrong or right, but I can't say that I'm thrilled at what I got to see last night. But before I go on my diatribe about the game, Samuel, what did we see? Just frame it for everyone.
We saw an absolute offensive juggernaut that I like to give analogies to other sports, and the way that I would describe it was as relentless as a lineup that, let's say, like the Bronx Bombers have had, where it's just you think you get through 1 through 4, 1 through 5, but it just so happens that 6 through 9 can be just as lethal, and that's how it felt to me yesterday. It was the Kyrie and KD show, but then you got a little sprinkled in of Harris and Dinwiddie, and then LeVert came in and just totally made his presence felt in the second unit, and it was nonstop.
It's all smoke and mirrors at the end of the day. Like, if having to take a deep breath, not saying that it's not real, but Golden State was hurt. No Draymond, no Clay for the year. They've got a lot of issues. Curry wasn't. I don't think Curry was at his most lethal best. But you can't feel anything but hype. I mean, if I know I throw around the championship thing, I believe it in my heart. I think even watching the Lakers Clippers game, actually for a second time, and not that I love the Lakers and the Clippers, it's just I was working this morning and came on again, autoplay on my DVR, and I watched it for a second time, and I just noticed that these teams will have offensive lapses that the Nets, even when we have offensive lapses, when we come out of it, we're coming out of it as an all-time scoring, legendary scoring team. This team is going to set historical numbers at the end of the day. And the only reason why they might not set historical numbers is because they might just be beating teams down in the third quarter. That might hamper Kyrie or KD's run for MVP, just because we are just going to run teams off of the court. And everything I saw last night proved that. Let's talk a little bit about the starting lineup. they did what we saw in preseason. They put Dinwiddie into the starting five. How did you think that looked?
I think I think that's the look. I know we've talked about this before, and I think that's definitely going to be the biggest transition that any player is going to have to make, and the biggest adjustment. And I think like hat goes off to Dinwiddie because I think this is a tough transition for him. I mean, this dude was like a borderline all star last year who basically had the green light every single time he got the ball, and now he's obviously in the starting lineup when like honestly he's the the third or fourth like best offensive option on the team. I mean, to be honest, like I mean, there's a good option that Harris should be getting way more shots than he should in that first lineup. So that was the thing that stuck out the most for me. And I thought that he got into his own element in the third quarter. I thought when the Warriors seemed like they could possibly chip a little bit, I thought Dinwiddie kind of did what I think will be useful. Why I think it will be useful to have him even in the playoffs because he just got to the free throw line. He did his classic, beat the guy off the dribble with that incredibly fast first step, get somebody in the air, get fouled, go to the line, get two quick free ones. And beyond that, I thought the starting lineup looked great. I mean,
Well, let
look,
me let me
yeah,
before we get to everybody else. So I have a change of heart from yesterday because we talked about Dinwiddie struggling, and after my second time watching the game, I realized that the number one thing you need to be a championship team, a legendary championship team, especially one that has a lot of uh, great players on it, players who on other teams could be a starter, could have a usage rate above 20. Like if Dinwiddie was on Orlando as an example, he'd be the starting point guard. He'd be the leading scorer. He'd dominate the ball, and he would make the All Star team because he would get them into the playoffs, and and they'd be the sixth, seventh, or eighth seed.
yep,
Uh, but I don't think we threw enough flowers at Dinwiddie, and that's why I'm happy that we had a second chance to do this because, you know, sacrifice is what is going to give us a championship, and the ability to humble yourself and say, all right, I've got these two great, legendary Hall of Fame players, guys who are in the Mount Rushmore conversation. Kyrie a lot further away. But when everything is said and done, we could be talking about him the same way. You deliver two championships to New York City. I'm not saying that that's what they have to do, but you deliver two championships to New York City, you're in the Mount Rushmore conversation now. And for Dinwiddie to just have the mind and the humility to basically, and this is a guy who's not shy at telling people how good he is. But just for him to understand that there's a bigger cause, there's a bigger mission, and for him to basically be playing in this position out of any type of thing that he's ever done, and I think that was one of the most dramatic things that we didn't, in our giddiness over Kyrie and KD, we didn't give him enough props for
yep.
reeling himself in and going, you know what? I'm going to be a different kind of great. I'm going to sacrifice and be a champion. Not enough, kudos for my man's Dinwiddie. And I think that's a huge part of what everyone on this team is going to do. And I don't think everybody is willing. But for an important core piece, right? Like, people make the mistake and think that superstars are your core. Superstars aren't necessarily your core, especially if they're being added on. The core of what Sean Marks' vision is Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, Jarrett Allen, um, Karis LeVert, and even Rodion's Caruth. Rodion's Caruth is one of his no stone unturned, looking for talent all over the earth. Guys, and he deserves. And Sean Marks basically keeping all of those guys gives the team a spine. It gives the team a stage, a platform for you to add greatness to it, and have that equal championships. I'm sorry. I'm still emotional from last night. All right, next thing. Go to your next point. I'm sorry.
No, I mean the only thing I really had left as it came to the to the starting lineup was and I saw you tweeting about this, and I thought it was hilarious, and I also thought it was pretty on point. Was the DJ element with DeAndre? I mean, we'll see where this goes. I thought his leaping looked subpar, to say the least. I think it's clear that, and I thought the fight that Jared Allen showed was like eons better. Not even just like on loose balls, on offensive rebounds, on getting up and down the court. I think that's like, it's clear that he should be starting. Like, there's just no doubt about it. But I do think that DeAndre will have his moments against the more physical teams that have wings that are. I'm sorry, not the wings that have big guys that are wide and like the Embiids of the world. I think that's where DeAndre actually can help out in terms of just like tiring a bigger dude out, whereas we've seen Allen struggles against the more physical guys. But I think against a game against a team like Golden State, which is all finesse, like I think that's more of a Jared Allen game than it is a DeAndre game.
Right, and you can't flip flop starting lineups. I don't love DeAndre Jordan starting. I think he just. It's not that this dude wasn't a great player at one time. This is a defensive player of the year candidate. This is a guy that had incredible leaping ability. He's the prototype lobs and dunk center. But I will agree that there are going to be games, especially like Joel Embiid games, and that's what I'm waiting to see to kind of decide whether or not we invalidate the idea of him being the starter as just an FOK friends of KD type of move. But still, the idea, I guess the idea of putting him into the starting lineup is, Jared is still a little light in his pants. To put Jared's age into perspective, the Knicks rookie Obi Toppin is older than Jared Allen, right? I don't want to laugh at them today, but it's not about them today. But their number one draft pick, who is their rookie and a part of their hope for the future, is 30 days older than Jared Allen, who's been in the league 3 years. And, for me, like, people make the mistake of going, oh, he's not that good. He's not worth the money he's going to demand. Blase blah. But I think everyone is wrong. This kid, when all is said and done, is going to be the premier lobs and dunk center in the league. And the reasons why has nothing to do with anything in the stats or that I've seen. Even though his stats are incredible, his stats measure up. He's better than DeAndre Jordan at this phase. DeAndre Jordan came into the league a little older, and he had his grown man body earlier. But the first couple of years of DeAndre Jordan wasn't Jared Allen years. The first couple of years of DeAndre Jordan wasn't, being a starter and a major contributor to a team that got to a 6th seed and then followed it the next year with a 7th seed. And it's evident in the way he plays. Jared Allen still, I forget what it is. I think his foot speed is incredible. Kenny Atkinson used to always say, you're a gazelle, use that foot speed, get down court first, fastest. And I don't